got the AI. Maddox was interesting.
She's amazing, isn't she? We heard Sentinel was getting kind of rough out there.
Well, let's just say Sentinel has suffered a bit of a setback. Folks out there are doing better now.
Great. You have no idea how much this little piece of metal and plastic and silicone is going to help. Let me know if you make any more progress.
Stay out of trouble.
Focus is my forte.
This guy, Trey Stone, doesn't make things easy.
He always seemed kind of ambitious. He and Walker always had some friction.
Walker mentioned Stone before, but never in a friendly way. I take it he isn't very likable?
He's a creep. But I've had to work with all kinds of people before. Sometimes you tolerate jerks just because they get the job done.
Did he get the job done?
I don't actually know. He kind of insulated himself. As a subcontractor, I couldn't supervise him the way I did other people. I had to trust Walker when he said things were going well.
Hey, I've been hearing about that World 2.0 stuff, and maybe the world needs a software patch. But a utopia? Really?
People out there in the rest of the world, they think the Earth's dying. They have this belief in scarcity. They think that we'll run out of energy, out of space, or out of water, or anything. And that makes every day a crisis.
And World 2.0 would fix that crisis?
It was more about fixing that mentality. I wanted to show the rest of the world that with innovation, with creativity, and with a little courage, it's easy to see the universe is abundant.
And how about now?
It's still an abundant universe. That hasn't changed. Just, I thought I could keep out jealous people. And the cowards.
No getting away from them.
No. I'm probably not as brave as I want to be either.
How did you buy Aroa in the first place?
I didn't buy it. I leased it. Aroa's technically part of New Zealand, but the US had leased it for years.
Yeah, that's why there's the old naval station. But wouldn't it have been easier to rent a chunk of California or something? I'm sure there's a big stretch of the Mojave that nobody wants.
Yeah. The abandoned naval station here piqued our interest initially, hoping we could piggyback on the Cold War infrastructure. That was a wash. But once we had visited Aroa, its biodiversity won us over. Good Hope Mountain has ice, Infinity is surrounded by fields, and the swamps of Finn Bog sport as harsh a conditions as any good drone tester could wish for. We fell in love with the place. I bought the lease from the US government.
And now these are your islands. No government but Skell tech.
Well, avoiding government regulation was a factor.
I'll bet it was. When did you get away from using dollars?
You like the Screds?
I don't understand them.
They're a cryptocurrency. As much as we could, we wanted to get away from the control of international banking.
But it's a made-up money.
All money is made up. It only has value because we all agree on it as a medium of exchange. Everyone in Aurora agrees to use Screds. And Skelltech makes sure to create a limited supply.
So if we all agree to use your play money instead of dollars, the economy still works the same way?
Money's only worth what you think it's worth.
My mind? Blown. I get that Maddox ain't exactly warm and friendly, but why do people hate her?
They don't hate her as much as they fear humanity's evolutionary destiny.
Whoa. That sounds a little intense, even for you.
Grace Maddox is in charge of Skelltech's transhumanist research, Project Deus. Yeah, on a personal level, she's not, fun.
She's also really into herself.
Sure. She's really effective. I gave her a huge budget. She wants more.
You give it to her?
Ayana Puri, my CFO, wouldn't let me. So Maddox cut costs. Instead of spending the time to perfect a true quantum computer, She developed a DNA-based computer that behaves like a quantum computer.
And you know what she's doing with that.
She plans to download her mind onto that computer. I know it sounds a little crazy and unbelievable, but someone will do it. And she should be first.
Explain something to me. This Titan program. Why in the hell would you think it was a good idea to build giant killing machines? Aren't lethal drones enough?
I recognize that smaller drones are already deadly and far more cost-efficient, but I was influenced.
Walker?
He was always complaining that the existing drones didn't have enough media presence. These days, wars are fought on television screens. He wanted titans that could exude charisma and raise hope and simultaneously suffocate the spirit of a nation.
Sounds charming.
I find that once I'm given a task, my inspiration is fueled by the vacuum. I knew that what Walker wanted was entirely unnecessary for counterterrorism, but I got carried away. Now I shudder to imagine what he intended the whole time.
You're not the only one. Hey, genius. What's this thing keeping people in Aroa?
The drone perimeter. We're calling it Operation Citadel. I think Walker came up with the name.
And there's no weak spots.
The perimeter is made up of different interlocking sectors, and each sector has its own drone swarm. Each swarm is managed by an AI that runs through a local relay terminal.
I could see that system working for surveillance, but it took out my chopper without firing a shot.
The swarms, they're made up of dozens of miniature drones that act in unison, like a flock.
You made an artificial bird strike.
No. We made artificial birds to do the job of bees. Pollination. It's Stone and Walker who militarized our swarms to create a deadly shield perimeter. Who thinks like that?
People after power. Skell Tech needs to start thinking more like its clients. How well did you know Walker?
Well, we fixed things together. He was a military advisor brought in after the Skell Tech bombing. We were still in mourning for the friends we lost, and then this hero shows up. He was magnetic, charismatic, you know? Like a TV star or something.
Yeah, that guy could charm the fleas off a dog. He kinda changed after he left the unit.
He never spoke about it.
Well, it's top secret. Let's just say it wasn't pretty. Fox called you his best friend.
Yeah, I never thought about it, but I guess he's mine too.
Times like this, you can count your real friends on one hand. You known him a while? He a buddy from college or something?
No. A few years ago, I hired him as a consultant. He was working on the problem P versus NP.
That literally means nothing to me.
It's a math problem. One of the math problems. But Fox was just so enthusiastic about everything, I widened the scope of his role. He was involved in every non-military project Skell Tech had.
He's a good guy to have around.
Absolutely.
Hey, genius. I always thought you were more of a pacifist. It's a shame you had to start making lethal drones.
I was naive, I guess. I always hoped for the best out of people, you know? When a bomb goes off and I meet the wrong person at the worst time, I bought their logic that if you want peace, carry a big stick line of reasoning. Stone even said, doesn't God have his avenging angels guarding the gates of paradise? It never felt right here. We're building heaven on earth. And we're not gods.
Is that why you kept it a secret, Project Omega? Because, you know, some people might look at it as a PR shield, keeping the image of a pacifist whilst making money on weapons.
PR is important, but you don't wear a seatbelt because you're planning to get into a car crash, right?
You have to be cautious.
Right.
I need more about Paula Madeira. How long have you known her?
Years. I hired her right out of grad school. Actually, she was still in grad school. She was only 20, but she was just so smart. I knew that with her, I could lay the foundation of Skell Tech's advanced drone program.
But are you friends? Was there something else going on, or what? There's something I'm missing.
I think hiring her so young, she never really learned the art of adapting. She didn't like working with Walker. I could have handled her differently. I know I need to talk to her about that.
You didn't answer my question.
It hurt. She was so special and one of the first to truly believe. And in hindsight, she was also right. She saw right through Walker. She was immune to his charm. But I was deaf to her warnings.
Stay out of trouble.
Focus is my forte.
Stay out of trouble.
Focus is my forte.
How do you fit into this whole Skell tech design?
I was the head of the civic engineering department. Guess you could say I resigned over creative differences regarding Titan.
So you had something to do with designing the infrastructure here on Aroa?
Sort of. I build on top of what the New Zealand and US military started. Every culture has to do that. Build on top of existing infrastructure. The older the culture, the more infrastructure is already in place, the harder it is to modernize. That's why Europe is such a mess.
Why not just tear it up and start over?
Once you build something, like roads, you don't want to unbuild them. Plus, Skell wanted to keep all the existing structures in place as a way to preserve the island.
That seems like a pain in the ass.
I don't mind a challenge. That's what makes me so good at what I do.
So I guess your roads are going to be a problem for the next person that comes here to design infrastructure.
I doubt it. By the time my roads need to be reworked, people will be flying around Aroa on jetpacks.
All of these drones must use a massive amount of power.
We use more electricity than most third world countries.
So if we pull the plug, we can shut the whole operation down.
There's no plug. The whole island is powered by a diverse, renewable power grid. There are multiple power sources, and no one source powers everything. And all the power sources are renewable. None of them need fuel.
So you built a lethal drone army and gave it unlimited power. No one thought that might be a problem.
Skell insisted our power came from environmentally friendly sources. We have the cleanest power grid on Earth. Also the most expensive. Maybe people like you are the reason Skell had to build his utopia way out here in the middle of nowhere.
How many of these renewable power sources are there?
There's a massive solar panel farm outside Liberty and wind turbines on the west coast. There are also 2 oceanic geothermal plants in the channels between the islands. Those are powered by cold water from Antarctica and warm water from the Pacific.
There must be some kind of battery where they store all the excess power.
Just north of Liberty, there's a dam. Inside are flywheel capacitors. That's where the energy is stored.
Why couldn't we just destroy the power grid? There's no way to disrupt the swarms by just smashing the electric box.
This power grid is a model for a sustainable future, and all you want to do is destroy it? Besides, you can't knock it out. It's designed to have backups for backups. Even if all that fails, we have energy stored in the flywheel capacitors. The lights are never going off on Aroa.
That's the scary thing about this World 2.0 you built. It can't be rebooted. What kind of air traffic do you get on the island?
Before the perimeter of drones made leaving the island impossible, the only people flying in or out were investors or vacationers. To be honest, we've never had much air traffic. Why do you ask?
I saw an airport earlier. We might be able to land a bird in there.
To evacuate people?
Or explore. I'm just spitballing here.
The Aroa airport near Infinity has the big runway. That's where all the international flights come in.
Any smaller airstrips? Somewhere that could land helos.
Try Liberty Airport. We use it for internal jumper flights. If you're snooping around there, just be careful. Sentinel uses both of them, so they're crawling with security.
What's with the fancy net there on Erewhon's crater?
Well, it's hardly a net, but yes, it is fancy. It's bleeding-edge, multi-layered camouflage equipment that blocks visibility with surrounding environmental patterns. More importantly, it fools the drones. It's how I keep Erewhon hidden and virtually impossible to find.
So it works the way a chameleon would, blending into the background.
A little more advanced, but yes. The fabric uses a signature management system that disrupts thermal patterns, infrared wavelengths, and radio emissions so drones can't run their recognition algorithms. It won't fool the human eye. I mean, if somebody was looking at a drone feed, they might notice something weird, but...
Nobody can check thousands of hours of video feed on Aroa.
Right. It makes hiding things from drones pretty easy. They can't respond to what they don't see. It was developed by Skell. Luckily, I just so happen to know how to hijack it. Now Erewhon can remain safe for at least a little while.
I like your style, Jericho. I'll see you around.
Sure. I'll be seeing you.
Crazy to think that old